Hello everyone, this is Brianne Pernick and we are now going to start working on Chapter 1, Lesson 2 for Robert Morris, Math 0900. We just finished Chapter 1, Lesson 1 where we learned the basics of the real number system and how to add real numbers. We are now going to learn how to subtract real numbers that have both the same and different signs. And what we're going to, the term that I need you to make sure that you know before the end of this lesson is additive inverse property. If you recall from the last lesson, additive inverse was one of the vocabulary words that we focused on. And the word additive inverse also means the opposite of a number. So we are going to be using the additive inverse in order to subtract real numbers. Now, there are 3 rules that I have for you in order to help you subtract real numbers. And this is, over the years, what I have found to work best when it comes to having to subtract numbers without a calculator. And I call it keep, change, change. Little kind of rhyme, if you will, that helps me to remember the 3 steps for subtracting. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to put in a very simple math number or problem into my calculator that I should be able to do mentally. I want to learn these rules and be able to take care of this math on my own without being dependent upon a calculator, because honestly it will take you longer to plug in those numbers than it will to just follow these 3 steps. So the first step says that we are going to keep the first number the same. The second step says that we are going to change the subtraction sign to addition. And the third step says that you're going to change the sign of the second number to its opposite. So we're going to be using the additive inverse of that second number. By changing everything to addition, we can then use the commutative property, which will make our work easier. So we're going to change everything to addition. We're going to completely eliminate the need for subtraction, change everything to addition, and then revert back to the steps that we learned in Chapter 1, Lesson 1. So if you guys can remember keep, change, change, then you can remember those steps. Keep the first number, change subtraction to addition, change the sign of the second number. So here we have some examples that I have set up for you. And the first one is 20 minus positive 5. So we're going to keep the first number the same, change your subtraction to addition, and then you're going to change the positive 5 to a negative 5. Now you have 20 plus negative 5. We learned in the last chapter that if your signs are different, you subtract. So 20 minus 5 is 15. You keep the sign of the number that has the bigger absolute value. 20 is bigger than 5, so your result will be 15. Example B, we keep the 6 the same. You change addition to, you change subtraction to addition. Negative 2 will become positive 2. 6 plus 2 is 8. Example C, we keep the first number the same. Change subtraction to addition. Change the sign of the second number. Negative 6 becomes positive 6. When your signs are different, you have a negative and a positive, you subtract. So we're going to end up with a 2. 8 minus 6 is 2. Which number is bigger? We have an 8 and a 6. Which is bigger? The 8. So we keep the sign of the bigger number, so your answer will be negative 2. I'd like you guys to go ahead and take a minute and do examples D, E, and F. When you're finished, just resume this recording. Okay, by now everyone should have completed D, E, and F. Let's check your work and see how you did. For letter D, we are going to keep the first fraction the same, change your subtraction to addition, and the 6/7 will become negative 6/7. Following our steps, we are told that when our signs are different, we subtract. So 6 minus 3 gives us 3/7. And since 6 is bigger than 3, we'll keep the sign of the 6/7. Therefore, it is going to be negative 3/7. Now, letter E. Before we can do this work, well, we can convert it first. We'll do negative 7/18. Change our subtraction to addition. Change the sign of 1/9 to positive. We have to get a common denominator, which should be 18. So we'll keep our first fraction the same. The second fraction needs to have everything multiplied by 2, so it will become 2/18. We have a negative and a positive, so we should subtract. 7 minus 2 will give us 5/18. The 7 is bigger than the 2, therefore our answer will be negative 5/18. Last example, letter F. We had 1/4 minus 8. I want you guys to think of that like an 8/1, since we're dealing with fractions. So we have 1/4 plus negative 8/1. We cannot subtract any type of fractions until we have a common denominator, so we will rewrite this, with a common denominator of 4. Multiplying everything by 4, we'll get negative 32/4. Now we are able to carry out that subtraction. 32 take away 1 gives us 31/4. Since 32 is bigger than 1, we should keep it negative. We can never, ever leave our answer as an improper fraction. So you have to think about how many times will 4 go into 31. If you need to, set up that little division problem, and it will go in 7 times with a 28. 31 take away 28 is 3. So our final answer would be negative 7. Don't forget your original fraction was negative, and 3/4. And that is subtraction of integers in a nutshell, guys. What I'd like you to remember, and these rules apply to both adding and subtracting, okay? This is how I remember how to do my problems. If the signs are the same, you are going to always add the numbers and keep the sign. It's all about your signs, whether it's positive or negative. Okay, so there's your first little rule. When your signs are different, no matter what, you're going to subtract those numbers and keep the sign of the number that has the larger absolute value. So just focus on that, okay? For this first example, we had 2 positives. We had a 20 and a 5. They were positives. We ended up just subtracting those. It was 20 minus 5. We just did that math. When we did this, both of our signs were the same after we did that keep, change. 6 plus 2. Our signs were the same. We added and kept the sign. Here, after we did keep, change, our signs were different. so we subtracted. After we did keep, change here, we had a positive and a negative, so we subtracted. It's all about the signs. When they're the same, you add. When they're different, you subtract. Okay? If you guys have any questions about the things that we have done in lessons 1 and 2, please feel free to let me know. I will be more than happy to work with you and help you out. And that ends section 1.2.